What if Finn Balor never got injured in 2016? So Finn Balor actually never injured his shoulder in this timeline. And for his first rivalry, he's gonna feud with Seth Rollins. And during his feud with Seth Rollins, well, the face turn doesn't happen yet for Seth Rollins. Instead, it's gonna be a slow and peaceful face turns during most of times. And I think the only reason also for WWE turning Rollins face is because of lack of baby faces in the roster by this time. And also Roman Reigns having these issues in 2016. That's why they turned Rollins babyface so that they can have a huge star power in the babyface's role. And by this time, also Finn Balor is there. That's why WWE is not rushing the face turn of Seth Rollins. So they feud for a few months. And by this time also, there's gonna be a fatal 4-way elimination match between Finn Balor, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, and of course Roman Reigns. Well, let's remove Big Gas and it's gonna be on a pay-per-view. It's gonna be either a fatal 4-way normal match or just like in Monday Night Raw. Well, it's also an elimination match for the Universal Championship because somehow, someway, while in the rivalry of Rollins and Balor, Owens and Reigns will somehow get involved. And by that time also, well, Owens is starting his feud with Roman Reigns. And during that match, well, Triple H interfered during the last moments of the match, with Balor not actually knowing what's happening during that interference. After the elimination of Roman Reigns, and actually Kevin Owens was the first man to be eliminated because of Roman Reigns being Roman Reigns by this timeline, and they are making him look so strong. And of course, Triple H will somehow cost Reigns a opportunity, and then what happens is Triple H screwing Seth Rollins, and then when Balor was actually waking up, he will hit the coup de grace to retain his title. Therefore, Seth Rollins will have his feud set on Triple H. And by this time, also they will change their feuds. Rollins versus Owens, also Chris Jericho by his side, and then as for the other one, well, it's gonna be that one, and then it's gonna be Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor. And this time, well, just like in his first matches, Reigns will also put over Finn Balor during the rivalry. Well, the title reign, it's gonna be Finn Balor actually retaining till the end of the year. And in 2017, well, in the Royal Rumble, Owens will win the title because he's gonna go to WrestleMania as the Universal Champion. Well, I know that I made Kevin Owens the Universal Champion after WrestleMania and also shortened his title reign, but if you think about it, Chris Jericho versus Kevin Owens, though Vince McMahon doesn't like it, it's stated on a documentary on WWE 24. Well, the match and the feud had actually got potential, and instead of Goldberg versus Brock for the title, well, they're gonna be the main one of the attractions in WrestleMania. And for Owens and Jericho, they're gonna be a co-main event or something like that. And as for Finn Balor, well, by this time we're gonna have a huge match for him at WrestleMania. And at WrestleMania, he's gonna have a one-on-one match between him and Styles. Well, they actually have the match at Survivor Series, a champion versus champion. Actually, not that match, but it's actually a traditional Survivor Series. But at WrestleMania, they're gonna have that match because remember in Survivor Series 2016, while the champions of Raw and SmackDown actually competed in the traditional Survivor Series match. So they're gonna have this attraction match at WrestleMania, a former Bullet Club leader versus a Bullet Club leader. And also during that match, well, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows will actually watch the match. They're gonna be intrigued because two former leaders of theirs are actually competing in that match. So actually in that match also they will appear, but they will not interfere, but the match is actually won by Styles this time, clean, because WWE actually wants to push AJ Styles. And also he's gonna go for a SmackDown, and yeah, as this time he's on SmackDown and he's gonna go for the US title much later. And as for Finn Balor, after this one-on-one attractions match with AJ Styles, well, they're gonna have this feud for Finn Balor for the Intercontinental title, which I believe at this point it's either Miz holding it or somehow whoever it is. But when the Miz actually had the title, well, he gave it relevancy. And the title is actually on Raw in this timeline. I'm not sure if in real life it's actually on Raw. But for the sake of the what if, Balor will win the Intercontinental Championship after defeating the Miz. And then there's no reason yet to actually have the demon yet to appear. But the demon will appear when there's special matches. It actually needs the demon to appear. And he will actually be the Intercontinental Champion, and there's gonna be a one attractive match during the year. Also after AJ Styles versus Finn Balor, and that is Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, with Balor actually going for the demon persona, and then Bray Wyatt going for his sister Abigail. I'm not sure if how will that work, or we're just gonna make Bray Wyatt somehow a much more darker character instead of that whatever they posted there. Instead of the sister Abigail this gimmick, he's gonna have someone who's actually had potential to be his valet by that time, instead of having him as sister Abigail by his own mind. So that's another attraction for the Intercontinental Championship. And Balor will drop the title to Bray Wyatt in one of their feuds, but not as the demon, because we will also push Bray Wyatt by this point, because actually this year, while he is the WWE Champion and he needs a title to make himself stronger, though I know that people will say scary characters in the WWE, scary personas does not held the title so much, but if you give him a title and have a chance for him to run with it, well, I'm sure that he will actually have a good run with it, just like what he did now with the Universal Championship and what he did with the WWE Championship in his promos. So Balor will actually drop the title to Wyatt, and by this point, Royal Rumble 2018, he's gonna find something that he wants to do. And also in this timeline, well, for the Universal Championship, Jericho beats Owens, and then at the next pay-per-view, because we all know that Jericho's actually going to his band Fozzy, well, he's gonna drop the title again to Kevin Owens, and then Owens will actually restart his rivalry with either Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins, and actually dropping the title to either Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar, which I know that we need full-timers as champions, but WWE actually are intrigued and actually interested of making Brock champion, because you know how Brock is actually a huge draw for them when he appears. So we will have that, or we will have a lot of varieties of champions, and the Intercontinental Championship will actually be more featured on Monday Night Raw. If that happens, well, the Universal Championship will either go to the hands of Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins by this point, because they're the main babyface of Raw, or they will push someone else, and that is Braun Strowman, or even have Samoa Joe as their champion. Well, if Roman Reigns wins the title, he will drop the title to Samoa Joe, and then in 2018, Joe and Balor will feud again for it, and then actually Joe, being strong, going to WrestleMania to find his challenger being John Cena, which actually makes a good match out of those two. Which I know also Roman Reigns versus John Cena on paper and at WrestleMania makes good bucks, especially a babyface versus babyface, a former face of the company versus the new face of the company that they are pushing. But as for the storyline's sake and also for teasing the 17th world title to John Cena, well, let's have Samoa Joe versus John Cena for the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. So what happens to Roman Reigns? Well, Roman Reigns will actually have a match, will actually be just like in real life. Well, he's gonna have his own match at WrestleMania, which I'm not sure by this point. I think it was against Lesnar for the Universal Championship, but because I made Samoa Joe versus Cena, well, he's gonna fight somehow at WrestleMania in a huge dream match yet again. Instead of that, well, we'll have Goldberg return at WrestleMania and put Reigns over and make the match actually be more earlier than usual in their tease at 2020, which Roman is actually unable to go because of the virus, that coronavirus. Instead, that match happened at WrestleMania 34. And as for Brock Lesnar, well, he's gonna have also a match at WrestleMania, which I ain't not sure if you're asking me, because I have a lot of matches to have in that card. Well, if you think about it, we can have also Brock versus Balor at WrestleMania, because 33, well, Balor versus Styles actually fought. We have Samoa Joe versus Cena as the main event, or second to the main event, and then Balor versus Brock, with Brock actually working with Balor because he likes to work with Balor. And look at their match at Royal Rumble 2018. I'm not sure if it's 2018 or 2019, with the match actually having 10 minutes, or I think so, with actually Brock looking dominant and Balor actually selling his moves that well. So for the rest of this what if, well, it's either Balor will actually challenge for the championship, WWE championship, or just like in real life, well, he's gonna go to NXT, or he's gonna challenge for the world titles, which also I ain't sure by this what if, whoever is gonna be the champion after Samoa Joe, because there's a lot of people who will challenge for the championship, and every title is actually stacked, because in this timeline we won't have part-timers hold the title. Instead, they're gonna be an attraction for main events or even semi-main events for WrestleMania. So at least the Universal Championship is on Raw, and a lot of people can challenge for it. And even Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman will have good runs with the title. And if the Fiend actually debuted much earlier, it's gonna be a benefit for both Balor and the Fiend, because they're gonna have good matches with both of their alter personas. Which, if you have the Fiend debut much earlier, and you have the Demon, you have the fantastic promo between the two, with the mic skills and even the special effects. And if WWE actually allows this, they will have a cinematic match much earlier than usual, and they will bring the best out of it, and that will convince WWE to make a lot of cinematic matches more in the future. And that's it for our what if. I've actually had the 2016 after WrestleMania 34 run of Finn Balor. I didn't include the 2020, but if you actually made him the dominant in the main roster, why actually return him to NXT? And if he actually got these high profile matches and even a lot of title runs in the main roster, which in this what if they're gonna give a lot of wrestlers opportunity because the title is not held by Brock Lesnar, which means the title will switch between full timers and a lot of storylines can happen. Though I know Brock Lesnar is a huge draw, and I don't mean any offense to those wrestling fans who likes huge draws. Well, if you think about it, if you give the title to full timers, you can make a good story out of it instead of champion being absent for most of the time because of the schedule. Not blaming him, but because of his salaries and WWE actually budgeting how much they would spend on him and the actual dates that he is working in their deal. So that's it for this what if. I hope you all enjoy it. Do you like this improve timeline or just like in real life that actually happens? And also subscribe for more videos, and don't forget, don't skip ads. And this is Mike Rato.